Okay, let's see if we can carve this eye. I've moved the camera in a little bit more so you can see closer. My fingers may get a little bit more in the way, but bear with me as we try to do that. But we're going to do a small eye, and we're going to try to add eye sockets, maybe even a bag under here if we get time. All right, you know how we start. We start in the corner, and we put our knife right in there, and we go fairly deep in that corner and fairly deep in that corner. So I'm going to switch up a little bit more. I'm not going to make that cut all the way across. I'm going to do the corners first. So we're going to put the corner cuts in. This one's not quite as deep as the other. Now I'm just going to connect straight across. There's the cuts I've made. My knife's in that cut. I'm going to go straight across, not very deep, and match that cut over there, trying to make them come together. I'm going to start in that same corner. I'm going to go across, and I'm going to come up to the top of that eye and stop. And then I'm going to take my knife out and go down. Okay. Now, depending on how deep I went, I should be able to get the corners out. And so we should be able to take that corner out right there. Look at there. That's what we want. Again, don't go too deep. You can go deep later, but you know, when you make extreme cuts, you have to have extreme cleanups. So we've got that corner cut down in there. We'll trim that back a little bit so it's not quite so dramatic. Okay, do the same thing in the corner over here. Should be able to take that chip out right there. Clean it up a little bit. Doesn't need to be as deep as the other one. Okay, let's go from the middle of the eye, and we're just going to trim down so that we're giving it the illusion that it's rounded from top to bottom as well. So you should be able to see that eye a little bit rounded. Out of focus. Okay. Now I'm going to undercut that eyelid, but not by much. I don't need to take off much. Just need to take off enough to make it look like it's rounded. I can take off more. And so there's nothing that says you have to do this in one whack. You don't necessarily want to do that. See that eye? Rounded a little bit. Where the marks are that I left is the middle of the iris. So if I was going to paint this eye, that mark right there is where the middle of the iris would be, or that round part of the eyeball that you see from. So now we basically have a round eye. If we take off all the harsh edges, all the straight edges, and round everything. Okay? I'm going to take off that bottom piece of the lower eyelid. You do it whenever way you want to. Sometimes I'll cut in this way. Make sure you don't cut into the eye, or you'll have cleanup to do. And it undercuts that. Sometimes you can cut straight across. Know where the tip of your blade is. And as you go across, you can just all the way into the eye socket. Be careful where it goes because you'll get little cuts in there. Okay? All right, so we've basically got a semi-rounded eyeball. Now, understand that it's an orb and it goes way back into that eye socket. And understand that I could sit here and piddle and play and putter till the cows come home. But I'm just going to try to take off some of these harsh edges. I'm going to lower the eye later, but to me it looks better when I clean it up a little bit. All right. So you should be able to see a rounded eyeball in there. As much as you can see. Now what I want to do, I want to get out a small V tool because I want to make a cut for the eyelid. Basically that cut's just going to be a guide. So here's my eye. That eyelid's going to follow the contour of the eyelid, or the eyelid's going to follow the contour of the eye. Let me talk about this outside corner. This is the inside corner, this is the outside corner. The upper eyelid always folds over the lower eyelid. So what you can do is take out that little chip right there, and you've folded that eye now back in that corner, and you've got the eyelid over top of it. And when we contour this one, sorry I'm off the camera, contour this one up there, we'll be able to get in there. So I want to do it with a small V tool just to make sure it looks good where it's at. I can tell it does. I've drawn it in there. Looks okay. But I'm just going to follow that small V tool around until I get where I need to go. Now, on a flat carving, if this isn't round, you need to take tools to do that and make sure this is round. We've got a rounded eye here, so we're good to go. But we're going to see what we can do about making that indentation. I like where that V tool cut is, so I'm going to go perpendicular and go not real deep, but deep enough so that I can take out a sliver. And I've undercut it, or not undercut it, I've stop cut it all the way around perpendicular. And so now what I'm going to do is take this pointed knife and I want to just relieve that. So I want to take a sliver out of there. Look at that eyelid there. You can deepen that as much as you want. Stay away from this edge of the eye here. Otherwise, you're going to chip it out. We've got one side. We'll turn it around and we'll do the other. And there's an eye with an eyelid. I can now deepen that eye a little bit more up under that edge because it doesn't look like it goes far enough. I like that eye. I don't like that harsh edge here though. This harsh edge right here. I don't like that. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that off because when I go to put some eyebrows in there, I just don't want that real harsh edge there. And so all I'm doing is following that sharp edge and I'm just trimming it off a little bit. I'm just making it smoother and rounder. Doesn't take much. Be careful not to cut down into the eye. And now we've got an eye with an eyelid, and all we need to do is make some eyebrows. Relatively simple. If you look at the eyes, that expression book that I gave you, that I showed you, the eyes are always perpendicular from where the eye socket is or the tear duct is. So these go up here, and they're on a straight line to there. So the farther away you get from the eye, you want to be able to create a line all the way out there. And so to make that follow the contour of the head, we're just going to make some indentations. We don't need many, and we don't need to make them really deep. They don't need to be, they don't have to have much to them. They just have to have a little bit. And the farther out you get over here, the more you want to lay them down. This is a small 3 or 4 millimeter gouge I'm using. Again, another Drake. I love Drakes. But this allows me to make some indentations. And then I would take the small V that I've got and just, add a few more cuts to it for perspective. Doesn't need much more, but I'm just going to add a few more details to that. And there's your eye. And up above here would be the forehead. You might have some marks across there. Below that, I'm going to have a bag. So bags, depending on the carving that you're doing, can be really deep, really simple, really big. The one thing you got to remember is the bag starts somewhere over here, and the bag ends up before you get to the edge of the, the bag starts over here, and it ends up before you get to the undercut of that eyelid. So it's got to tuck up under that eyelid. So I'm gonna do that using the V tool, and I'm gonna make that bag come over to that eyelid, tuck it under. Make sure that eyelid, that bag is tucked under that eyelid. And I'll bring it to the bridge of the nose and round it into there. And then to make it stick out a little bit more, I want to undercut that harsh line there. Bring it up to the bag. I'll cut those off. And then I want to round that harsh edge off of there, so I'll cut it down to it. And again, this bag can be as big or as small as you want. It doesn't take much to give the indication of a bag. If it's a big old rough looking cowboy, you might want to have a big bag. If it's a lady, make it small. There's the bag. The only thing I would do to it was make a few random cuts across here to make it look like it's got wrinkles. Doesn't need much, but you want a few wrinkles in that bag just to give it, again, a bit more detail. Doesn't need much, just a little bit. And that, my friends, is how I do eyes. Feel free to contact me. Feel free to give me your comments, feedback on this, but I think we've done a pretty good job on that one. Have any more questions about eyes? Let me know. We'll figure it out. We'll help you a little bit more, but either way, keep carving, having fun. Make sure you're having fun when you're carving, because if it's not fun, might as well go do something else. I'm going to go have fun. Talk to you later.